All right. Hello, everyone who's hopped on the call so far. I see Misty, you're here.
Hi.
Hi, great to see you. How are you
Me too.
doing?
It's fun.
All we can do is just try and keep a good attitude, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. For just a little bit before the top of the hour, and we've got quite a few people still hopping on the call at the moment. So we'll go ahead and just wait a minute for as many folks to jump on as possible, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So just to introduce myself, I'm more of a new face. I'm Christine Brown. I'm the new Director of Member Engagement here at the Reno Sparks Chamber. And I'm hoping one day I'll get to meet all of you personally. It seems as though that is a distant memory from a distant time, but hopefully we'll get that opportunity sooner than later. But at least this is what we've got, and we're making the most of it. So I appreciate everyone being here. So what we're doing is we're going to go through some prepared questions first with Misty, and then what we'll do is we'll address some questions that you may have at the end of the call. So if anyone has a question that comes up while Misty is speaking with us, just go ahead and use the chat function in Zoom. Really helpful for situations like this. Any comments or questions you have, just go ahead and use that Zoom chat function, and we'll try and address as many of those questions and comments as we can at the very end of the call after we've gone through some of our prepared questions, which a lot of you folks already sent in ahead of time. So thanks so much for that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here in probably about 30 seconds to a minute, but I'm going to close my office door so I'm not super annoying to my coworkers. I'll be right back. And for the record, the three of us here at the chamber are practicing social distancing. So even though we're still in the office, we're being safe, in case anyone was wondering.
I have a Chihuahua and 2 cats, and we are not practicing social distancing. I might get some of that in the background.
Excellent. I have to say I'm a little jealous. It would be really wonderful to, speaking of self-care, which is something we're going to be talking about, it'd be great to have some therapy pets here in the office. I think that would really help the climate quite a bit. All right, everyone. So it's 2:01, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, my name is Christine. I'm the new Director of Member Engagement with the Chamber. Thanks to everyone who has taken the time to be on the call today, and I'm so pleased and happy to introduce Misty Vaughan Allen, who's here with us on the call. She is the Suicide Prevention Coordinator with the Nevada Office of Suicide Prevention, and she's working hard on programs like Crisis Now and the Zero Suicide Initiative across the state. And she's worked with countless diverse communities in Nevada to help connect them to vital resources. And right now, she's offering herself as a resource to us to ask some of our questions. And so, Misty, I want to say with gratitude, thank you for being here to help us out. So I'll go ahead and turn things over to you to open us up.
And with gratitude right back to you, Christine, this work doesn't get done without the opportunity to speak to people in the community. It takes us all to prevent suicide. And I started this back in the 90s when no one spoke the word. The stigma and taboo were so profound. We banged on doors to get in and offer trainings. Now, because of demand, but also because I think things are being destigmatized a little bit, we have so many partners. I see partners on the screen involved in this meeting right now. And I apologize. Great timing.
No problem.
Yeah.
I won't tell you to mute your line.
Darn it. I never get calls. So I think this is an opportunity to debunk any myths, but also in this difficult time with increased uncertainty, know that you can reach out with concerns for yourself or your loved ones and get that help immediately. So if it's online right now, or I'll give you my cell phone and email after this meeting, please don't hesitate. As we talk about what to look for and how to help, know that we want you to pick up on it immediately and see what we can do to make people's lives less stressful.
Right, thank you. And thank you for offering yourself, your very self, your cell phone number as a resource for people. Oftentimes, I think for so many folks, it's just hard to know what that first step is to take when you do notice something. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But thank you for providing that first step for people so that it's not a question what the first step is going to be. So, so we'll go ahead and just launch right into our questions. So for you, in your professional opinion, what are some, and even just your opinion as a person, what are some of your biggest concerns for people's health and well-being during social isolation?
And I think what we're hearing more and more is physical distancing versus social distancing. And I think we need to promote that because we can connect in many creative ways. And we can even connect to things internally in this beautiful weather, just getting outside in the garden, nature, wherever you can in a safe way. With your faith in a safe way, build that connection, reach out to people who might feel this more than others. I know I'm a very strong introvert, so I am quite comfortable right now. It's a very happy place for me, and I can accomplish my work from home. For others who are extroverts, it is not comfortable. And so reach out to those you know need that human connection and just check in. I think people welcome it. I know I've had friends reach out from way back just to check in, and it makes all the difference in the world. So I would say the best, most important thing is to reach out and let people know you're thinking about them, just to break that isolation. It can make a huge difference, even if it's brief. I think the other thing we're worried about with mental health and substance use concerns, people aren't getting their regular care and services. And so how do we keep them safe when they might not be able to access their typical healthcare providers or mental health care providers? We have many resources, from online applications, phone numbers to reach out to if you're concerned about yourself or someone else. Just know that there's incredible help available. Telemedicine, same day access to care is available. So don't give up on seeking out that help. It just looks a little different, but I think this has forced us to become innovative. And people who thought telemedicine was just nothing they would touch, many are finding it, again, quite comfortable because they can have their therapy pet next to them. Transportation that might have been a barrier no longer is. So it can also be an opportunity for incredible change.
Right, agreed. And to go back to your original comments, it's interesting how even though we're having to innovate technologically, how so many of our instincts are still the right instincts. The instinct to connect, the instinct to make sure that we're cultivating a sense of belonging with our loved ones and with, our social connections. That's still how it's done, whether we're in a period of physical distancing or not. And so it's nice to know that, our instincts are good. Our instincts to connect are right and good. And, sometimes that's enough. Exactly. So there are moments, however, where it feels as though our instincts and the things that we might think to do are not enough for the people we love. And they have some big, scary concerns and some big, scary admissions to us. So what are some concerning signs that we should be looking for with friends and family, even with coworkers or employees during this time?
Well, I know for myself, it's a wave, an ebb and flow, where one day I'm feeling I can do this. And then the next day, because what I'm hearing from others, and you probably all on the line, are multitasking more than ever before. And then you have these uncertainties in the back of your head. It's completely emotionally exhausting. And so pay attention. Even those that are managing and connected and doing okay are being drained. So if they're typically supposed to be on meetings with you and aren't, or you can hear the emotions in their voice, or if they are having hardships where there might not be an income coming into the home, or they're having housing uncertainty or food uncertainty, reach out, find ways to connect to that help that can decrease the stressors. When we think of suicide, it's often, nothing is ever 100%, but it's often overwhelm of pain and loss. We are experiencing so much grief right now, but we're not talking about it. And I'm not suggesting grief just from loss. There's a lot of that, but we have grief from those dreams that have been lost, those milestones people don't get to accomplish, not being able to say goodbye to those, and grief of losing our livelihood possibly. So know that a big underlying current here is going to be grief and loss, and how we can start to help people process that, the sooner the better. Those are hard conversations, but I think we all have those pockets where we need to talk about it. So because of that, think of transitions. Before COVID, we often thought transition times were high risk. So from middle school to high school out into the world, being deployed or returning home from service, retirement, divorce, huge transition periods that should be a given of checking in with someone. And it doesn't have to be intrusive or nosy. I know you're going through some challenging times right now. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? Can be a good starting point. So life's environmental opportunities, as well as the appearance and mood, are ways to check in. So the easiest way to explain it to you all is any change. If they are regularly upbeat and now low, check in. How you feeling? You seem a little down compared to your typical sunny self. It could be they didn't sleep last night, or they are not feeling well. But we start the conversation because we're recognizing that change. Even if it's subtle, it's enough to check in, because our goal is to intervene before a crisis escalates. We don't have to wait till they're at that point of thoughts of suicide. We want to help them early on and help them reestablish their coping strategies early on.
Right. I think that's a great point. And I think that, you know, that attentiveness to what people are going through, that attentiveness to their behaviors and changes in their behavior, you know, speaking to this time of multitasking and in some ways being more overwhelmed with stimuli and with things that are on our plate than perhaps we did before. You know, if you're a parent at home trying to homeschool your kid, the dogs are barking, you're trying to hop on this Zoom call, and it's just so much. I know, you know, one of the things I did even before this that has been even more helpful now is just if I make a mental note of an interaction with someone that seemed a little off, I set a reminder on my phone to check in later if I'm not able to do it now. And then if I have like a 5-minute window where it's quiet, I can actually do something about it. But you're right. Sometimes it's just as simple as just checking in when you know that someone is going through a hard time.
And Christine will send everyone a link I just sent her on a statewide new campaign called Hope Means Nevada. I had nothing to do with it. I love it though. I wish it had come out of my brain. It was actually Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation to reach out. And it's a really beautiful ask five people how they're doing, check in.
Yeah.
And I know I see Forever 14 on here. Their whole mission is to connect and kindness and support those out there that might need it. So that can start a huge tidal wave of hope, I believe, out there.
That's awesome. I love that. And we will definitely send that resource out to everyone. All right. So when it comes to data, I know in some ways this feels like a big holding pattern of we're all in this huge waiting room, kind of waiting to see what the long-term effects of the crisis are going to be. Is there any preliminary data to suggest that suicide rates, for instance, are on the rise, or any data to suggest concern with any other areas of mental illness?
So as far as suicide deaths, that data is often delayed. I'm writing a grant with the CDC on statewide suicide prevention, and my most recent data is 2018. Mm. I know we can sometimes get more speedy data. Clark County is pretty rapid with some 2020 data, but we aren't seeing connections directly to COVID yet. I am hearing as of today some murmurings, but too soon to say, because suicide's complex.
Right.
You know, they could be dying by suicide right now, and we all want to say it's COVID. We don't know what that person's challenges were and pain was before COVID started, and this was the triggering event. So that's where I want to be careful with that. What I do know, the hotline is not getting increased calls with suicide, more anxiety, challenges with COVID, financial. That we have now been about 6 weeks in isolation. That's probably going to start to change as people start to get overwhelmed with the financial challenges, overwhelmed with the uncertainty of when this is going to open up, and just plain tired of something right now. So we might start to see an uptick, but I don't have concrete data. I have some interns working on a document exploring past disasters, such as the original Depression, the campfires, Katrina, October 1 shooting in Las Vegas, to see if there's impact in suicide rates after an event. So often it would be several months after.
Sure. Yeah.
And we predict, but we need more concrete data.
Right, absolutely. The human experience is nothing if not complex, and this is certainly cranking up the heat on a lot of things that were probably already there in a lot of people's lives. So I think you're right. I think really the name of the game is just being attentive, and it seems to keep coming back to that, to having an awareness, to being an attentive person to the others in our lives and to ourselves also. So what are your recommendations for folks? I know that we've got some people on the line who are employers who don't have the normal set of tools at their disposal in order to care for their people. We're only seeing each other through computer screens, sometimes only interacting through text and email, and that only provides such a small snapshot of how someone's really doing. What are some new tools that you would suggest for employers who are looking to care for the mental health of their employees right now?
That's a great question, and I appreciate the opportunity to think about it. I can only, my office is 5 people, so I'm sure you have a wide variety of personnel sizes here in this group. But some of my initial thoughts are building connections. So if you have a large business, maybe pick a lead team. We can even get that team trained in some intervention skills. We've been doing more and more webinars online with that. And then kind of send them out to reach out to pockets or departments, or maybe even cross-pollinate pockets of departments. Some people might feel awkward going directly to their supervisor, but maybe there's someone else they feel safe just to connect with and check in. I heard a wonderful story today about a school district. They assigned every staff member to reach out to a certain amount of families, 29,000 students and families, and they were just checking in. Did you get the food order we sent? How are you needing anything daily? I think that could be an option businesses could set up. Doesn't have to be complex or focused on crisis. Really what's happening now are those basic needs, safety and security that people are looking for.
Right, absolutely. And you're right. Sometimes mobilizing a team is the best way to do it when we can only do so much. I mean, it's unreasonable to think that it's healthy for an employer to call 200 people a day, right, and check in meaningfully and not deplete their own, social emotional resources as well. So yeah, building up a team and deploying that team has got to be the name of the game. Absolutely.
And maybe it's weekly. I work with my staff weekly just to see their faces. I'm assessing voice and face right there, and if someone's not turning on their video, I'm not going to panic, but I'm going to pay attention and check in.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a personal call after the fact. So I think that could be really meaningful, even if it's weekly. And then I have lists of community resources statewide, if that would help you, just to have a tool next to you in case something does come up.
That would be amazing. The more resources we can get into people's hands, the better. So we covet all of that material. So, you mentioned that right now, a lot of people's concerns are really surrounding the immediacy of the moment. Do I have food on the table now? Am I going to have food on the table tonight? Will my family have shelter over their heads after the 1st of May? I mean, these are the things that are on people's minds right now. If you were to fast forward, perhaps a couple of months when things have opened up in some way, shape, or form, economically, and even in terms of social distancing regulations being relaxed, what are some of the mental health issues that you see on the horizon potentially as the crisis moment subsides?
I think it's going to be a natural drop. Right now, we're in crisis, adrenaline's going, we're fighting strong and supporting and connecting. We're doing what we're supposed to do. But as that goes on and we don't know what that looks like, you're going to see that natural dip. What the benefit is, I think we're developing incredible resources in new technology that can only grow and help. So I'm not going to go into a dark place. That doesn't help. We need to start building hope and possibility. I will say, think about when we lose someone, we're there supporting that person in grief in the immediacy, but it doesn't take too many weeks till they are again alone. I would encourage people checking in 6 months to a year out, and maybe even longer, because we're going to see certain people in this community are in highly stressful situations. So maybe some post-traumatic stress possibilities.
Right.
And that's when we need to be paying attention to. Don't let up. Keep this connection moving forward beyond the immediate crisis, because when the lull and all of the attention and all of these webinars slows down, that isolation is going to soar even more. So I think the tools will be there. We just have to pay attention even more and connect.
Right. Yeah, everything you're saying, I think resonates to, all different facets of our experience. So many people are talking about that proverbial light switch, and that with the economy, it's not as simple as flipping on a light switch. With wading through the implications of what is happening to our population when it comes to mental health. It's not a light switch. Like you're saying, there's some professionals in an essential or frontline work environment who haven't really had a chance to take a break to check in with their own emotions and well-being. And they may not realize the stress or the trauma for another year. So it's really about being there for the long term and understanding that this time we're going to be walking through the implications for a long time. And
right.
To your point, being committed to that journey. So we hear, and of course, the big buzzword, even before all of this started, the big pop culture buzzword is self-care. Technically 2 words, but hyphenated, one concept. We hear a lot about self-care. And, for a lot of people, it can range to, doing something physically tangible, to, just taking 5 minutes to go outside without your devices, without any other stimuli, and just sitting in your front yard or whatever the case may be. What are some things you recommend in this time period we're in, ways that people can care for themselves and also check in with their own emotional well-being?
Yeah, great. Yeah, we've used self-care for as long as I can remember, because I started on a hotline. And so self-care, when you're taking those calls, was important. And it starts to become empty after a while. But I think now we're having to bring it back, turn off the radio, TV, first and foremost. Stop hearing some of this news, because it just overwhelms our mind. And none of us know the answers yet, So I think it's just promoting that anxiety, and then we don't sleep. So you start the cycle of downward spirals of losing our coping strategies. So turn off the news, get some sleep. And if you're having trouble sleeping, I will recommend an incredible app I just found called COVID Coach.
Oh, wow.
COVID Coach. And it does assessments, it has hotlines. But if sleep is your issue, then it gives you meditation guides or all these other tools. It's just really beautifully done to manage your own needs. We are also working on something for first responders called Start. It's for self-triage, but it is only available to those participating in this program. And it helps them assess their moods and challenges and triggers and connect them to whatever help will prevent symptoms from trauma increasing and becoming exacerbated. So there's some incredible tools out there to manage our own needs. Definitely, if you can slow down your mind, be it getting some fresh air and sunshine, exercise in a safe way. Remember that I did a walk the other day and I just realized, oh, it's not horrible out here. We've been inside, the sun rose, the birds were singing. Think about some things that are not a negative, and I don't want to diminish the tragedies that are occurring right now and the scariness. But environmentally, those birds are singing louder than ever, and the water's getting clearer and the air's getting cleaner, and that's something we can be hopeful about and maybe learn some other lessons. So the connections that people are making is something we can be hopeful about. We need to start building towards the solidarity of moving forward and that possibility of what we can create to be in a better place when we come out of all of this, be it personally or as a community.
I love it. And that perfectly transitions into, where I'm hoping to leave our conversation, which is how we can stand in solidarity as the business community, how we can stand in solidarity with you, with your office, with the efforts that you guys are doing.
My very wise supervisor, Dr. Stephanie Woodard, who's been working tirelessly, was talking about starting anew, and we've got to move forward. And she sent me a photo yesterday of her window, one candle lit in honor of those grieving and those we've lost, one candle of those uncertain right now, and then a candle for hope. And building that and starting a movement that we will get through this and we can come out the other side even more unified. Our community's done an amazing job. So proud of them. And let's hold on to this unity and see how we can grow it, because those gaps and disparities in health and mental health existed before this.
Right.
This is just opening up our eyes to what's going on there, and maybe there's possibility to fix it.
Right.
We can't take our foot off the pedal on that one.
Right.
I just love that there's so many people on here looking to get answers to this. I really am appreciative that this is not a topic I often get many people in the room on. And so I'm very grateful. But know, if anything comes up after this discussion, to reach out, any ideas, any community groups who you want to have more conversations with. We will talk and talk and talk, because we can prevent suicide and we can connect people to better mental wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. And I'm hoping that the participation on this call is an indication of that change, of that paradigm shift, into awareness over mental health challenges and issues, and how to get more of our citizens connected to the resources they need and to close those gaps of access and disparity. So hopefully there's reason for hope, like you've mentioned.
And Christine, I sent you a Mayor's Challenge link.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
We have Mayor's Challenges and a Governor's Challenge focused on service member, veteran, and family suicide prevention we've been working on for a couple of years. And recently with the Mayor of Sparks and the Mayor of City of Reno, we put out a challenge to both cities, and we're going to do it statewide. But the challenge is to go to this website called Psych Armor, and we have a Nevada page to take a 30-minute training on what to look for and how to help someone with risk for suicide. It's a lovely training, although it's focused on service members, veterans. The skills apply to anyone in the community. And then there's 15 things to look for veterans want you to know. So 2 very simple, lovely trainings that can help make a difference in your life and our community.
That's fantastic. I will make sure that we get as many resources as possible into tomorrow's briefing. So for those members who are on the call who are receiving our daily briefings from our CEO, Ann Silver, we'll make sure that those resources are in there for you, so that everyone has access. And I'm looking at the clock, and we are running out of time. So it doesn't look like any other questions have come in, but once again, we're going to get Misty's contact information out to everyone so that you're able to get in contact with her if you have further questions or issues. So with that, again, I just want to thank you, Misty Vaughan Allen, with the Nevada Office of Suicide Prevention. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I'm sending my info right there in the chat.
Oh, wonderful. Everybody get that. Screenshot it if you need to. It's there for you. And with that, we'll go ahead and just wish everyone a great day.
Be well, be safe, everyone. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Bye.